up, everyone? Welcome back to the Being Beautifully Honest channel and podcast. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. And let's get into this stunting on social story. Now, this story actually was reported by the Daily News in February, but I'm just getting a chance to talk about it. I've been waiting to really share this story on my platform and give you my thoughts about it. But the story is about Brooklyn gang members who were living large on more than $4 million in stolen COVID unemployment funds. So a group of Brooklyn gang members with ties to the drill rap scene turned the COVID-19 unemployment program into a bottomless ATM using stolen identities to score more than $4 million, the federal authorities and police have said. Now, police caught wind of the fraud when members of the NYPD's Intelligence Bureau noticed that members of the Canarsie-based Wu Gang were making trips to California, renting houses, buying expensive cars, and posing on social media with stacks of cash at the beginning of the pandemic. Now, listen, Intelligence Bureau, that right there is the thing that I just don't understand why people would even have the audacity to stunt on social media when they know about your trips, they know about what you're buying, all of these different things. And it doesn't even have to be posted on social media because they have the intelligence and the surveillance to be able to figure out what's going on. It may not be as quick as someone just being as idiotic as to post themselves on social media and stunt in that way. But yeah, they did. So that led to a federal probe with the Department of Labor Inspector General's office and the arrest of 11 suspects in a scheme to steal nearly $20 million in unemployment funds. The suspects got away with more than $4.3 million before authorities cut off the money flow and arrested them. They even bragged about the scheme in a YouTube rap video, Trappin', with the lyrics, "Unemployment got us working a lot." Oh my God. I mean, you can't knock them for creativity and having a play on words, right? So in New York State, applicants for COVID-related unemployment were given ATM cards issued by Key Bank or got the money through direct deposits into existing bank accounts or old-fashioned paper checks. Now, I believe most states did it that way, so I don't think that was anything different in New York than most states in the United States when it came to the unemployment situation. So, quote, the result of this was like gang criminal magic. It was a never-ending spigot of money because when you tapped out the funds from one identity, you simply moved on to another and to another and to another, said NYPD Deputy Commissioner for Public Information, John Miller. Imagine a bottomless ATM that was free and just spit out cash. Like, who wouldn't like that, right? So early in the pandemic, the state had such a high demand for unemployment claims that its website crashed, leading Google to help fix and redesign the site. Because as we know, New York was one of the first states in the U.S. that was really hit by COVID. I was actually in New York in February of 2020 when I started really hearing about it because I'm down south, and I was just there for a podcast interview for a couple of days, and then when I got back, I had heard so much about it when I was up there that it really started to freak me out a little bit. And so I was making some changes and plans based on what I was hearing and just putting some notifications out there about some things that were supposed to be happening later that year that I don't know if that's going to be the case based on what I'm hearing. And lo and behold, yeah, New York was one of the first states to really shut down and have the stay in place orders and all those different things. Anyway, getting back to the story, one of the suspects, Romian, I'm not sure how it's pronounced, Brown, 23, was pulled over for running a stop sign in Brooklyn in 2021 in January and had 3 Key Bank debit cards on him. Now, to hear this story, it's like the similar stories where you hear about a police officer finding a person that was on the run and they had a broken tail light or something simple. And then they found out all of this other stuff after pulling this person over. He posted a message months earlier on Facebook asking if he should open a new chat on Telegram so he could get even more IDs to use. And he said the S is too easy. Individual gang members were purchasing hundreds of names from the dark web, the deep web, and criminal sources that included social security numbers. Now, I don't know if any of you who are listening to this have not been checking your credit or things like that, but you definitely need to have monitoring alerts on and all of those different things like that, because in this day and age, it's a crazy thing. But if you have one of those alert systems where you are signed up for membership for, and you get those alerts saying, this information was found on the dark web, and hearing about this dark web space, it is absolutely insane. There is so much going on there. It's crazy. And the fact that he said, that a lot of the information was being purchased and this is how they got access to all of that money is absolutely it's crazy. So they'd also get driver's licenses, often for $150 a piece. And the gang members would cycle between dozens of key bank cards at a clip, withdrawing as much as they could at an ATM before moving on to a new identity. A lot of this money was pulled out in cash almost immediately, Inspector William Viscardi of the NYPD Criminal Intelligence Division said. That money was either spent as cash or quickly transferred to an app like Venmo, making it impossible to recover. The suspects were showing off Ferraris and other luxury cars, houses with palm trees, and flights on private airplanes. Now, here's the thing. When I hear about stuff like this, what dealerships were they going to? What realtor did they work with? I mean, do the people who benefited with either getting the sales of these things or the rental money or whatever, do they get penalized? I'm wondering, and I'm not saying that they are not innocent, but I just, and I know, you shouldn't judge people by how they look, but let's just be honest. The story about the guy Romian, who was 23 years old, I'm assuming he does not look like a banker. I'm assuming he doesn't look like a stockbroker, an attorney. I mean, I'm just saying. And yeah, there are rappers out there that are making okay money, because a lot of them I don't even believe are as rich as they claim that they are, because if they were, they wouldn't really be spending their money and doing the things that they're doing with the money that they are doing currently. But anyway, that's another story for another day. It's like, were these the people that were calling the cops on them and then still benefited by getting the sales, getting the rentals, all of those different things? I don't know. It just makes me wonder. You can let me know your thoughts on that situation. So the story continues talking about this gang, and it says the Wu Gang and its rival Cho Gang has ties to the violence tearing through the drill rap scene. In 2019, rising Brooklyn rapper Pop Smoke, who has ties to the Wu Gang, or I should say who did have, because he's no longer here, was gunned down in a rental house in LA. Earlier this month, Tajay Dobson, 22, better known by his stage name T. Wu, was shot dead just hours after signing a recording contract. The fraud suspects, and they're all young, it's crazy because I don't know. I have my thoughts, but the fraud suspects, Brown, Tyrick Clark, 21, Kenneth Desir, 20, Stephen Dormanville, 21, Kai Hayward, 22, Keith James, 20, O'Neal Marks, 20, Jariah Olivier, 22, Christopher Jean-Pierre, 21, Rolik Smith, 20, and Christopher Toppy, 21, all face charges in Brooklyn federal court. All of these people are young. I just see them as children, although they're not children, but very immature. And it's sad because when you hear about PPP fraud, you primarily hear about people who are older that are doing this stuff. And yeah, there have been people in their 20s that have gotten caught, but this story is just one for the books. These kids boys, young men, I don't even say kids, but these young men in their early 20s, just barely out of the 18, 19-year-old age range, is absolutely insane that they were able to have this type of fraud going. And I'm wondering, was there anyone else to assist them? Because I'm not saying that they're not bright, but sounds like to me that there might be some other sources that have been involved with them in this fraud and in this masquerade. Because what do these young gang members know about the dark web and buying people's identities and unemployment fraud and all? It just makes me wonder. So I'm wondering, is there any more suspects going to be coming out of this and being charged? I just really wonder about that, because it makes me feel that there's more involved in this story. But we'll see if any more comes of this or any more is reported. We'll talk about it here. So I really appreciate you guys taking the time to listen. Let me know your thoughts. And this stunting on social thing, it's coming slowly to an end when it comes to the PPP fraud, but it just looks like more stories continue to come out because there's been so much massive fraud.